Last class, we talked about how lines can be parallel, meaning they have the same slope, or lines can be perpendicular, which means they cross at a perfect 90-degree angle. For them to be parallel, it meant the slope is the same. They have the same slope for both of them. And then for them to be perpendicular, one was positive, one was negative, and the slope was flipped. It's called the reciprocal. So today we're going to continue in that same idea, but it's actually a little bit easier today because to write the equation is a lot easier than it was when we were writing the equation that was parallel and perpendicular to a line. So if we look at this, the first one says parallel to the x-axis. So what that means is today we are going to write equations that are parallel and perpendicular to an axis, either the x-axis or the y-axis. Very, very easy. So it says step one, we need to plot the point. So we are looking at parallel to the x-axis. So write the equation of the line that passes through 4, 2 and is parallel to the x-axis. So we're going to start by plotting the point. Right 4 up 2 is an ordered pair right there. Then step 2 says highlight the axis. So this is asking us for the x-axis. So I'm going to go to the x-axis and I am going to highlight it. If you're using a pencil, that's fine. Just draw over it so that way you know which one is the x-axis. So a line parallel to the x-axis would go in this direction, and it has to cross through that point that you graphed, 4, 2. Okay, so that line right there is parallel to the x-axis. It goes in the same direction as the x-axis does. So now we have the line that crosses 4, 2 and is parallel to the x-axis. So to write the equation of that line, this equation is y equals, because this is the y-axis and it cuts through the y-axis at the number 2. So the equation of the line that passes through 4, 2 and is parallel to the x-axis is y equals 2. It cuts the y-axis at 2 and it's a horizontal line. Very easy. So we're going to do the same thing with the next one. Write the equation of the line that passes through -2, 5 and is parallel to the y-axis. So -2, 5, left 2. Ooh, that's ugly. Do that again. Left 2, up 5. Oh my goodness, I cannot graph tonight. Left 2, up 5. There we go. Okay, so left 2, up 5, that is the point that it has to pass through. Then it says parallel to the y-axis. So if this is the y-axis, I want for my line to be parallel. Parallel means it goes in the same direction that that axis runs. So that's the line. It's parallel to the y-axis, and it goes through the point -2, 5. So to write the equation of the line, this is a special line. There's no slope here. So the equation of this line is that it cuts through the x-axis. See here, it's cutting through the x-axis, and the number that it's cutting through the x-axis is at -2. So the equation of the line that passes through -2, 5 and is parallel to the y-axis is that green line. That green line is called vertical. So this vertical line crosses the x-axis at -2. So x equals -2. So let's try the same idea with the notes on the bottom. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Okay, next one. Now we move into the phrase perpendicular. So perpendicular to the x-axis. Write the equation of the line that passes through -3, 1 and is perpendicular to the x-axis. So again, step 1 said, plot your point, okay? -3, 1 is an ordered pair right there. Perpendicular to the x-axis. So here is the x-axis. We said perpendicular means they cross at 90 degrees. So perpendicular means it crosses at 90 degrees. So for a line to be perpendicular to the x-axis, it's going to cross through it like this. That is perpendicular to the x-axis. Notice it makes a 90-degree angle between my line and the axis. So that is the line that passes through -3, 1 and is perpendicular to the x-axis. So to write the equation, this is a straight line. It crosses right here. Which axis is that? That's the x-axis. At what number is it crossing the x-axis? That's the number -3. Okay, so we plot our point, we look at which axis, and we find if it's parallel or perpendicular. Okay, so the last one of the notes for today, perpendicular to the y-axis, write the equation of the line that passes through 6, -2. Right 6, down 2. Perpendicular to the y-axis. Where is that? Here's the y-axis. Okay, so a perpendicular line, we always have to draw it so we know what's going on here. So that line is perpendicular. It makes a 90-degree angle with my y-axis. So the green line is the line that goes through 6, -2, and it's perpendicular to that y-axis. So now we just need to write the equation of this line. This line crosses through the y-axis at the number -2. Special lines, no slope here. It's just a horizontal line, crosses through the y at -2. So whenever you're doing these, we always suggest that you draw the picture. Don't just try to think of it in your head. Some of you, I'm sure, are very capable of doing that, but this way you don't mess up. I want you to always draw this picture. Think perpendicular means we're going this way. Perpendicular from the y-axis has to go that way. Draw that picture, and it's really easy. So let's look at some of your practice questions for today, and then we'll move on. Ooh. All right, number 1. Write the equation of the line that passes through 4, 5. Okay? 4, 5. And is parallel to the x-axis. I just highlighted my x-axis. So if it's parallel means it runs in the same direction. Parallel lines look like that. They look like railroad tracks. So now you need to write the equation of this line. Which axis is it cutting through? And at what number is it cutting through that axis? We'll look at one more together. Number 3. Write the equation of the line that passes through 2, 4. Write 2 up 4. And is perpendicular to the x-axis. So here is the x-axis. Perpendicular lines would go like this. So that's perpendicular to the x-axis. Perpendicular, crosses at a 90-degree angle. So that's my line. I want for you guys to write the equation of this line. It cuts through which axis at what number? Okay, you're going to try numbers 2 and 4 exactly the same. Plot your point, step 1. Highlight your axis, step 2. Figure out which direction your line's going to go. Parallel means they look like railroad tracks. They'll never touch. Perpendicular means they cross at a 90-degree angle. So try number 2 and try number 3. Now we're going to look at this last page. So this numbering is off on mine. I'm pretty sure for you guys, this one says 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm pretty sure. But the question is the same. So ignore my numbers. Your question is exactly the same. So for this one here, the first one, it says write the equation of a line that passes through -2, 3 and is perpendicular to the y-axis. Very common STAR test question. They're not going to give you the graph. They're just going to tell you to write the equation that passes through a point and is perpendicular to the y-axis. So what we always have to start with, if they don't give it to you, draw, that's really ugly, sorry guys, draw a graph. Okay, so here's my coordinate plane. So without a graph, I can't visualize what's going on here, so it makes your life so much easier and more accurate if you just draw the picture. So now -2, 3, that means left 2, up 3, here it is. Perpendicular to the y-axis. I find the y-axis, there it is. Perpendicular means it has to cross through my point through the y-axis. That is a perpendicular line. So this graph, my green graph, is perpendicular to the y-axis. Okay, so which one is it cutting through? Is it cutting through the x-axis or is it cutting through the y-axis? At what number does it cut through the y-axis? I'll help you. This one cuts through the y, and it's cutting through the y at +3. Okay, so now I want you to try the next 3. Again, sketch a picture so that way we are for sure that your line is going in the correct direction. Parallel means in the same direction of, they look like railroad tracks. Perpendicular means they cross at a 90-degree angle, horizontal or vertical, compared to your x or y axis. Very easy. So this is all that you have today. Next class, you guys have your PSA review. So we have a district test coming up. So our next class, we're just reviewing everything we've done this year, which you guys have been very good for the last 9 weeks. So next class is a review of the 9 weeks that we have now been through. And then you guys will have your district test, which is basically units 1, 2, and 3. Very similar to what we did in the first 3 units. Very easy.